Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the graduates of the 91st cohort of the Staff and Junior Command course. You may be seated. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Permanent Secretary Kadisha Campbell Rochester, DCP Richard Stewart, representing the Commissioner of Police, ACP Merrick Watson, our host for today. He's ACP training. Other senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the leadership foyer here at the National Police College of Jamaica. We are here today to turn yet another page in what is shaping up to be a beautiful story. Shall we put our hands together for this marvelous story? It is a story of transformation. It is a story of modernization, a story of regional collaboration and excellence through training, a story of investment and dedication and time. The heading on this page writes, 91st cohort of the Staff and Junior Command course. It acknowledges that while there have been 90 previous cohorts, transformation demands that as a force we must improve. And so the theme here today is leadership with heart. Driving positive change, not change for the sake of change, but a marriage of continuity and change and moving into a direction that represents a shared vision for our nation and for our region. We are seeing the emergence of a new type of policing leader, a new type of policing manager. And the graduates today represent the future of policing in our region. I invite you to remember their names, support them, mentor them, because the security of our nations depends on it. At this time, I'm going to invite our Assistant Force Chaplain to invoke the presence of God in our midst. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Stacy Layla Knowles.
Colossians 3, verse 23, the Apostle Paul declares, "Whatever you do, do it with your whole heart, as unto the Lord, and not as unto man." I borrow these words as a charge to today's graduates, indeed to all of us, as you embrace more wholeheartedly the role of manager, commander, and leader within your respective police forces. Yours is the mandate to be your best, to do your best, and to give your best. Today is not the end. You have not reached. As much as we celebrate, we are always conscious that there are higher heights that you can reach in commitment and service. So, always do your best and trust God to take care of the rest. Please stand with me as we look to God in prayer. Creating, redeeming, and sustaining God, we acknowledge with gratitude your hand of provision that has led us to this day. We thank you for these men and women who continue to offer themselves in service to their fellow citizens as leaders, managers, and commanders. We appreciate, O God, the ways in which you have guided and directed their training over these past weeks, and we bless you for the satisfaction that comes with knowing that they have made it to this point. As we celebrate with them today, we are proud of their accomplishments. We commit them to you, and we are even more conscious of the awesome responsibilities with which they are entrusted. O God, may your hand of protection be ever over them as they carry out their duties faithfully and fervently. We pray they may lead with heart and be drivers of positive change. Thank you, Lord, for their families and loved ones who continue to stand in solidarity and support. We pray especially for our Jamaica Constabulary Force, and in particular, the leadership of this training branch. Receive now these graduates, O Lord, and our prayers for them. Bless them and keep them. Cause your face to shine upon them and be gracious unto them. Lift up your countenance upon them and grant them always your grace, your strength, your peace, today and always. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a distinguished graduate of a great institution of this parish, St. Catherine High School, who is sitting beside a distinguished graduate of St. Catherine High School, who is sitting beside a distinguished graduate of St. Catherine High School. You feel free to clap. Feel free to clap. You're in the parish of St. Catherine. And so the first distinguished graduate of St. Catherine High School that I am going to mention has dedicated him to the task of building this institution into a regional center of excellence in law enforcement training. And so at this time, I invite the head here at the NPCJ, leading that charge to deliver the welcome, acknowledgement, and remarks, ACP Merrick Watson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, what he did not tell you is that he also is a distinguished member of the St. Catherine High School. Ladies and gentlemen, one and all, a pleasant morning to you. It is indeed an honor to extend a welcome and acknowledgement and to establish the protocol that will govern this graduation ceremony for the 91st cohort of the Staff and Junior Command course. I would first like to extend a warm NPCJ welcome to Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Honorable PM, we at the NPCJ are extremely thrilled that you were able to make time to celebrate with us today, and we trust that you will enjoy the day's proceedings. Welcome to Mrs. Kadesha Campbell-Rochester, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Energy, Telecommunication, and Mining. I acknowledge the presence of Mr. Richard Stewart, Deputy Commissioner of Police with responsibility for the crime and security portfolio, and the person representing the Commissioner of Police. A special welcome is extended to Her Honor, Mrs. Keisha Grant Price, Parish Judge for St. James. A special welcome is also extended to Ms. Latoya Mitchell, Director of Inland Border Force, Ministry of Immigration and Border Services of the Turks and Caicos Islands, representing the Permanent Secretary in that ministry. To Deputy Commissioner of Police Rodney Adams of the Turks and Caicos Island Police Force, officers and members of the Executive Management Board of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, officers of the JCF, rank and file members of the JCF, special recognition to the facilitators, syndicate directors, members of staff of the National Police College of Jamaica. I'd also like to welcome and acknowledge the members of our media and our audience on the various social media platforms. Distinguished guests, fellow officers, family, friends, and well-wishers, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to you all. Cohort 91. I want to draw your attention to your theme, leadership with heart, driving positive change. And I want to remind you that today is not simply a graduation ceremony. Consider it a signal that leadership in Caribbean policing is evolving, that it is no longer defined solely by rank, authority, or command presence, but by something far more enduring: heart. You came from different forces, different islands, different operational realities. Yet over the past weeks, you have shared a common journey, learning not just how to lead, but how to lead better. And that distinction matters, because Caribbean forces today faces complex, interconnected challenges that cannot be solved by force alone. They require leaders who can think critically, act decisively, and importantly, connect humanely. Leadership with heart is not softness, it is strength properly understood. It is the ability to make decisions while still seeing the people behind the problem. It is holding your teams accountable while investing in their growth. It is enforcing the law while preserving dignity. When you return to your various formations, you will enter spaces where habits are entrenched, resistance is real, and change is not always welcome. Do not be discouraged by that. Real leadership is not revealed when things are easy. It is revealed when it is necessary. And so, participants of the 91st cohort, you are now standard bearers, not just for your organization, but for Caribbean policing. And so I entreat you all to lead with heart, serve with integrity, and let your leadership leave every place better than you found it. Once again, congratulations to you all, and may the good Lord bless you richly.
Thank you very much, ACP. At this time, we will have remarks, firstly, from one of our distinguished guests here today. She's a judge of the Parish Courts of St. James, representing Western Jamaica today in our midst. Her Honor, Mrs. Keisha Grant Price. Put your hands together and make her welcome.
The Most Honorable Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Assistant Commissioner of Police, members of the High Command, distinguished guests, members of Jamaica Constabulary Force, family members, friends, and most importantly, the graduates of the 91st Staff and Junior Course Command, with all protocols established, good morning. Today is a day of achievement. It is a day of tremendous celebration. It is a day of well-earned recognition. But above all, it is a day of transition. Today, you, 27 of our mid-level leaders, stand at an important crossroads in your professional journey. You have completed a program designed not merely to increase your knowledge, but to expand your capacity to lead. It is both an honor and a profound privilege to address you as we celebrate this very important milestone in your professional journey. You see, today's exercise is not merely a graduation. The certificate you will receive acknowledges what you have accomplished. The ranks you hold signify that what you have earned, but rank and certificates not only register your accomplishments. Today, ladies and gentlemen, it is in fact a call to leadership. The truth is, Jamaica is standing at a defining moment in its history. In recent years, our country has endured extraordinary disruptions. We survived a pandemic that reshaped the social fabric of our communities. Families suffered loss. Our people experienced trauma, isolation, educational disruption, and job insecurity. Then came natural disasters. Hurricane Beryl, followed by the most devastating Hurricane Melissa, which further exposed the vulnerabilities within our communities. Standing at the center of these realities are you, the men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, who are often the first responders to the pain, the first witnesses to the crisis, the face of the state that citizens encounter in moments of fear, conflict, violence, and despair. The impact of these disruptions, both physical and economical, at the mere minimum, has created a sense of urgency. Crime has evolved. Technology has also evolved. Transnational crime networks have evolved. The communities that we serve have evolved, and public expectations have also evolved. Indeed, the world has evolved. The crisis we now face demands that we embrace a new kind of leadership. Not next year, not when conditions improve, but now. Which leads me to your theme, leading with heart, driving positive change. Leading with heart does not simply mean being empathetic. Empathy allows us to understand people. Leading with heart requires us to value people. It requires us to recognize the humanity of those we serve and those we supervise. It requires us to exercise authority without arrogance, discipline without humiliation, and power without losing compassion. It reminds us that while institutions are built on policies and procedures, they ultimately succeed or fail because of people. At first glance, some may think leadership and heart are strange companions. Leadership is often associated with authority, discipline, accountability, targets, operational plans, crime-fighting strategies, and command structures. Leading with heart is leadership that is more transformative. This kind of leadership speaks compassion, empathy, humanity, and understanding. So, we see then that heart and leadership are partners. Leadership without competence is ineffective, and competence without heart is incomplete. You, the graduates, have been certified to possess both. Today, Jamaica requires leaders who can inspire trust, rebuild communities, and revive institutional legitimacy. After today, the question you ask yourself can no longer be, how much authority do I possess? The question must be, how much positive change can I create? As a judge, I perhaps occupy one of the most unusual vantage points from which to observe leadership. Every day, I see what happens when leadership succeeds. And every day, I see what happens when leadership fails. I see the consequences of neglected children. I see the consequences of absent fathers. I see the consequences of poor life choices. I see the consequences of dishonesty. I see the consequence of violence. I see the consequences of individuals who surrender negative influences when positive leadership was absent. But I also see something else. I see remarkable examples of courage, resilience, redemption. I see ordinary people overcoming extraordinary circumstances. I see police officers who go beyond the call of duty. I see investigators whose professionalism help to secure justice for victims. I see community leaders who refuse to surrender neighborhoods to fear. And all through these experiences, I have come to one inescapable conclusion: transformational leadership matters. Thus, transformational leadership asks leaders to do 4 things. Inspire a shared vision. Lead through moral and ethical values. Empower others. Transform systems for the better. The first responsibility of transformational leadership is the ability to inspire a shared vision. Strong leaders build teams of credible, committed individuals who share a vision for progress. Your service within the force must articulate a vision rooted not only in enforcement, but in professionalism, accountability, service excellence, and community partnership. As middle leaders, it is your role and function where policy becomes practice. In other words, you are the bridge between the vision and the execution. Many officers master operational policies. They become excellent investigators, patrol officers, intelligence officers, and border security professionals. But transformational leadership requires a different level of thinking. The generation before us built institutions. Our responsibility is to strengthen them. And this is why vision has always occupied a central place in leadership. The biblical writer observed that where there is no vision, the people will perish. I believe there is profound wisdom in that statement. People will often endure extraordinary hardships if they can see the purpose in the struggle. They will work through the difficulties, setbacks, and disappointments if they believe their efforts are contributing to something greater than themselves. Thus, it is particularly true in the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The officers under your command do not simply need to be instructed, they need purpose. They need to understand not only what they're doing, but why they're doing it. The most effective leaders create a vision that people can believe in and then inspire others to participate in its realization. I hasten to say, a vision hidden in policy documents is powerless. Therefore, you must communicate consistently and clearly decisions and processes so that those you supervise are enabled to initiate, innovate, and add value to the shared vision and own that vision. The second responsibility of transformational leadership is to lead through moral and ethical values. This may well be the most important responsibility of them all. The reason is simple. Vision without values can be dangerous. History is filled with individuals who possessed extraordinary vision but lacked moral restraint. To make my point, many years ago I came across a statement that remained with me ever since. I would rather see a sermon than hear one any day. People observe leaders long before they believe them. Those we supervise watch what you tolerate. They observe how you respond under pressure, how you treat the vulnerable, and how you conduct yourself when no one appears to be looking. In other words, they watch the sermon you live. Your badge gives you authority. Your rank defines your responsibility, but it is your character that clothes you in legitimacy. As transformational leaders, you must insist that those you supervise do not use their positions to create personal wealth. The writer ticket or left for money stigma must be removed, and as leaders, you must be strategically positioned to initiate this transformation. As leaders, you must be good role models. You must be trustworthy and fair. You must honor commitment to your staff. Take time to know them, their talents, and their abilities, and recognize and reward them accordingly. Consequently, transformational leadership must always be anchored in principles. Ladies and gentlemen, our citizens are not just evaluating what we do, They're evaluating how we do it. Integrity, fairness, accountability, empathy, and respect for human dignity must therefore become visible leadership practices. Ethical leadership is no longer optional. It is fundamental to public trust. Thirdly, transformational leadership challenges leaders to empower others. Great leaders do not create dependency. They create capacity. They mentor their team, encourage initiative, develop talent, and build confidence. A transformational leader understands that sustainable progress comes when people feel valued, heard, and equipped to lead themselves. Transformational leaders create opportunities for growth. They encourage others to lead. They understand that leadership is not diminished when it is shared, it is strengthened. The officers under your command may possess talents that may exceed your own in certain areas. Do not fear that reality. Celebrate it, develop it, harness it. The greatest legacy a leader can leave is not a title, a building, or a policy. It is the people. People who become more confident because of your encouragement, more competent because of your guidance, and more effective because of your investment in them. Fourthly, the Jamaica Constabulary Force has evolved because generations of officers challenged old assumptions and sought better ways of serving the public. Further change requires that you are willing to ask difficult questions. It is about identifying what no longer serves the organization or the society effectively and having the courage to improve it. Whether it is strengthening community relations, improving internal culture, modernizing policing strategies, or enhancing responsibilities to vulnerable citizens. Many in your organization may resist your transformation because they have become comfortable with tradition, hierarchy, and familiar systems. But your leadership is not about preserving comfort zones. It's about moving your institution forward even when the change is uncomfortable. You must become agents of meaningful and lasting change. Even after half a century, the story of Old Nell is still especially relevant. Old Nell was a horse loved dearly by its owner. One day, she fell into an abandoned well. After every rescue failed, the neighbors decided the only solution was to fill the well with dirt. And the aim, of course, was to bury her. But something remarkable happened, ladies and gentlemen. Every time dirt landed on Old Nell's back, she shook it off and stepped upwards, bucket after bucket, shaking and stepping until eventually she emerged from the well. That, graduates, is leadership. Every challenge can bury you or build you. Every criticism can discourage you or motivate you. Every setback can defeat you or teach you. The difference is often your response. When obstacles arise, shake them off. When criticisms come, learn from it. When adversity appears, use it as stepping stones. For positive change rarely occurs in comfortable circumstances. It occurs when determined leaders persist despite resistance. When adversity arrived, Old Nell did not surrender. She transformed the very thing intended to bury her into the means of her advancement. In closing, I want to reiterate that the story of Old Nell is more than 50 years old. Yet, it is still teaching us something today. Leadership with heart is not soft leadership. It requires courage. It demands that we remain ethical under pressure. It is the courage to be disciplined where necessary, but still preserve dignity. For you, it is a reminder that your badge represents public trust. And more importantly, it is a courage to see humanity even in difficult circumstances. Transformational leadership recognizes this truth. People may forget your rank. They may forget your title, but they will never forget how your leadership made them feel. As you leave the program today, you carry more than a certificate. You carry influence, responsibility, and an opportunity to shape the future culture of policing in our island home. Jamaica post-COVID, Beryl, Melissa, and as we speak, the impact of economic upheavals in the Middle East needs fewer managers. Jamaica needs visionary leaders, leaders with integrity, empathy, and heart. May you become the generation of police leaders that not only enforce the law, but help transform communities, restore trust, and drive positive change throughout Jamaica land we love. Congratulations to each of you, and may your leadership continue to serve Jamaica with honor, courage, and heart. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Justice Grant Price. At this time, we will have words from our Deputy Commissioner of Police. He is the head of the Crime and Security Portfolio, but he is representing the Commissioner today, DCP Richard Stewart.
Policemen are generally competitive. This is even before I bring greetings. But policemen are generally competitive. And while seated there, I was looking around and to say, what can I be competitive with today? It couldn't be dress, because I know I've been outdressed. It couldn't be, well, it couldn't be on the criterion of handsomeness, right? Because gear is here, and I would be outdone. So I decided that I will use the criterion of brevity. And I'm saying to you that I will beat every speaker that comes to this podium today in terms of brevity of presentation. You want to beat me? All right, good. Let's go. Mr. Chair, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, Your Honor, Mrs. Grant Price, and other dignitaries on the platform, Mr. Merrick Watson, Assistant Commissioner and Director of the National Police College of Jamaica, gazetted officers, other members of the JCF and its auxiliaries, representatives from regional police organizations, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor to bring remarks on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, who is unavoidably absent, and to represent him as we mark this achievement in your professional journey. Congratulations on completing this demanding but important junior command course. The theme, Leadership with Heart, Driving Positive Change, is apt. We are now even more convinced that technical competencies alone cannot achieve police efficiency and effectiveness. The challenges of the current milieu, characterized by contention, dynamism, and opaqueness, require leaders with appropriate blend of intellect, empathy, discipline, and care for those being led. That is leadership with heart. Over the years, police leadership training gave prominence to the study of strategies, structures, and systems, and less so to the increasingly relevant concept of shared ideas, shared values. The current High Command is attuned with this need and has not only insisted on its inclusion in training courses, but is currently engaged in the design and development of the JCF's doctrine program. This value infusion program will advance on the gains made from the successful People, Quality, and Technology Initiative, and is a deliberate effort to disrupt the existing culture and to disrupt the existing culture, creating the organizational culture that we desire. You, graduates, and other members benefiting from this training will be relied on heavily for its success in implementation. Graduates, you are aware that as a country we have been struggling with violence reflected in decades-long murder figures of over 1,000 persons being killed per year. Last year, 2025, was one of the years that saw a sub-1,000 dive. We are sure that the transformed JCF played a critical role in this achievement. Right, good. Colleagues, it is said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. The JCF is on the path of excellence, and we know that the continued reduction in violence must become a habit. We therefore, at the leadership, will continue to focus on our people, ensuring our human resource practices are at cutting edge. Maintain the focus on quality, ensuring also that the systems and processes we utilize are sufficiently robust and widespread to provide service that not only satisfies but positively delights. Regarding technology, our efforts of ensuring regarding technology, we will continue its inclusion to improve on our effectiveness. Graduates, the public trust is critical to policing, yet it is fragile. We therefore must be consistently vigilant in managing the risks to our reputation. As we continue to modernize with the value infusion, the continued success of the JCF rely on you. On behalf of the Commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake, the High Command, and the entire Jamaica Constabulary Force, I again congratulate each of you on this remarkable achievement.
He realized that his time was in contention, and so he nipped it at the end because he wants the prize. Ladies and gentlemen, very often when we hear of these courses, we consider and we wonder, what are they doing? Maybe if you're a family member, you have greater proximity to the stress that is borne upon them. And sometimes you ask, what is involved in that course? And you hear, it hard, or it difficult, it meticulous. But I always enjoy hearing reflections and reports of what goes into these courses. At this time, I'm going to invite a Deputy Superintendent of Police, Mrs. Jean McDonald Ballen, to deliver the course report. Put your hands together as she comes, please.
Master of Ceremonies, thank you, sir. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Richard Stewart, Deputy Commissioner of Police, representing the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Rodney Adams, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, Mr. Merrick Watson, Assistant Commissioner of Police and the Director of the National Police College of Jamaica, other senior officers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, graduates, good morning. The 91st Staff and Junior Command course commenced on the eCampus platform of the National Police College of Jamaica at 8:30 a.m. March 2, 2026 with 35 participants. The course ended on May 22, 2026 with all our 35 participants. Congratulations. Today marks the completion of 12 weeks of focused training for a total of 27 middle managers of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, 6 from the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, and 2 from the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. The cohort included 1 Assistant Superintendent of Police from the JCF, 1 Assistant Superintendent of Police from the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands, and 31 inspectors, 2 senior border officers. This course was delivered using a hybrid approach, so we were virtual and face-to-face. Due to the challenging nature of policing in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, we recognize that it is required of modern police officers to manage and perform their roles efficiently and effectively, thereby creating safe and confident communities. It is against this background that these 35 middle managers were exposed to competency-based training and development programs that provided a combination of awareness, skills, knowledge, and attitude, which will invariably help police officers perform their jobs to a higher standard. The course provided each participant with an in-depth appreciation of the 5 modules that were delivered. Module 1 focused on personal effectiveness as a senior supervisor. This enhanced participants' ability to conduct research, improve their oral, writing, and social skills, and deepen their understanding of themselves and others. Module 2, Police Leadership and Management. This module is designed to help the participants develop their intellectual abilities and managerial and leadership skills. Module 3, Police Administration. Participants were exposed to the JCF's administrative functions, structures, processes, and interpretation of administration, policies, and laws. Module 4, Crime Investigation and Intelligence Management. This is geared towards exploring the challenges, tools, and strategies available to counteract crime within the region. Module 5, Operations and Critical Incident Management. This module is geared towards helping participants develop practical operational skills, which is part of the organization's thrust to strengthen its operational capacity. All participants were exposed to 2 weeks divisional duty officer practicum across various divisions. 9 pieces of evaluations were used to determine if the course objectives were met. Public speaking, operations order planning, preparation, and presentation, writing a comparative essay or business writing, class participation, station plan preparation and presentation, critical incident decision-making assessment or paper feed, applied field work in police supervision, the written examination, and project proposal presentation and execution. These evaluation exercises provided each participant with an opportunity to demonstrate and apply their knowledge of the course content in a controlled environment. Generally, the participants were receptive to the concepts presented and were particularly appreciative of the lessons on systems thinking, lockup administration, professional hurt, organizational communication, and change management. All participants satisfied the requirements of the course with a passing grade of at least 60% on the final examination. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Exposure to a range of policing issues and competencies has given the participants the confidence to take on a new and more demanding role. They have been sufficiently equipped to be change ambassadors in their respective divisions and to lead in a complex environment. We continue to assess the course delivery and our facilitators, focusing primarily on the course content to ensure that all our participants benefit fully in the long term. To you, the 91st cohort, congratulations. Go forward, lead with heart, and ensure that you not only drive, but you are a part of the positive change. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for that overview, at least from an administrative perspective of the course. At this time, we are going to be feasting on a performance from one of the finest choirs in the land. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the JCF Choir.
Step forward, step forward.
There's a whole new world I see, and so many things that I can do. With your strength in me, now I ask you to lead. Now I ask as I sing of brighter days, for I need to have you very near. Come and guide the way. Give me the wings of an eagle. I will soar into the sky. Give me strength to hold a brother's hand as he
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one more time for the JCF Choir. Well, at this time, we will hear another perspective of the course. It will be in the form of a reflection, and it will come from Detective Inspector Hewlett Lewis Gordon and Senior Border Officer Clayton Jennings. Put your hands together for both of them as they come.
Thank you. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Richard Stewart, Mr. Rodney Adams, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Royal Turks and Caicos Island Police Force, Mr. Merrick Watson, Assistant Commissioner in charge of training, specially invited guests, and my fellow graduates of this 91st Staff and Junior Command course, please permit me to adopt the protocol that has been already established. We crave your indulgence as we reflect on a journey that has challenged us, shaped us, and prepared us for greater service. I am Detective Inspector Hewlett Lewis, and with me is Senior Border Force Officer Clayton Jennings from the Turks and Caicos Island Border Force Department. When we boarded Flight 91, the 91st Staff and Junior Command course, on Monday, March 2, 2026, there was a mixture of anticipation and skepticism about the journey ahead. This flight carried passengers from Jamaica, Turks and Caicos, and the British Virgin Islands. Though the group was diverse, we were all flying first class, bound for the same destination, the National Police College of Jamaica, where learning, discipline, and transformation awaits us.
The theme for our graduation is Leadership with Heart, Driving Positive Change. Flight 91 took off smoothly, seatbelt fastening, as we journey through the clouds of conflict management, ethics and policing, group dynamic, and team building. After the first week, we discovered altitude changes perspective. Once we climbed beyond the cloud of doubt, the view became clearer.
As we advanced into week 2, the communication channels became clearer, and the barriers among the 3 islands gradually faded as we explored public speaking, organizational communication, emotional intelligence, and the fundamentals of business writing. The writing was now on the wall. And through the online platform, we broke into our respective syndicates to form, storm, norm, and indeed perform.
By week 3, we navigated through principles of leadership, change management, and systems thinking, and suddenly the turbulence began to make sense. Leadership was in the cockpit, and we learned that rank alone does not keep the plane level. Change management became our weather radar, helping us to understand why we were on this flight, the desire to support change, the knowledge we gained, the ability to transform the knowledge into actions, and the reinforcement required to ensure that change endures. System thinking became the navigation map. Though we came from different law enforcement and border security agencies, we brought diverse perspective into one cockpit to guide the aircraft and manage the daily risk of the associated journey.
Now, we will not stand here and pretend that every stage of this flight was smooth, because mid-air, we encountered turbulence, screen freezing, audio dropping, and internet connections failing for participants in rural areas. And I will not mention Portland and St. Thomas. The seatbelt sign remained on despite the challenges. Leadership and emotional intelligence were on board this flight. We succeeded together or not at all. The journey was not successful because the technology was flawless. It succeeded because inclusive leadership values diverse backgrounds and reduce the bias and resistance that often arise from exclusion or favoritism. The virtual phase taught us that flying blind is not bravery, it is recklessness. Technology in law enforcement, ISO 9001, project proposal writing, and lockup administration became the new instrument in the cockpit. These tools were used to strengthen the aircraft and ensure that every cabin remained safe for every participant. ISO 9001 was not red tape. It became the pre-flight inspection. If you miss one critical step, it would ground the entire aircraft. What we learned was etched in our memory through constant revision and daily reinforcement. When Dr. Kevin Francis himself assumed control of the platform, we remained alert and focused until the lessons were fully understood. Service must be delivered with the same standard on and off duty, because standardization protects good officers and prevents poor practice.
These procedures were not designed to slow us down. They were what kept us airborne. The project proposal focused on transforming the cabin itself. Because of how we treat the passengers in the back, it's often determined how the airline is judged from the front. These tools were used to strengthen the aircraft and ensure that the cabin remained safe for every participant. ISO 9001 was not. The flight continued, pausing briefly when necessary. The station plan became our flight route, helping us load fuel, assign responsibilities, and align each cabin with the strategic priorities of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It ensured that everyone understood the flight plan, not just the pilot. Without the station plan, we would have been navigating without direction.
No flight would be complete without a little in-flight entertainment, and Flight 91 certainly delivered. Somewhere over the virtual Atlantic, we encountered sudden sleep turbulence. One participant, whose identity will remain protected for the sake of dignity and future promotion, appeared to believe that the leadership module also included a mandatory nap component. Eyes closed, head nodding, camera suspiciously frozen, the participant attracted the attention of Air Traffic Control Treasurer, Inspector Ensa Wilson, who promptly imposed the fine. There was also the unforgettable open mic Mayday between Turks and Caicos and the British Virgin Islands. Instead of hearing Mayday, Mayday, participants repeatedly heard, close your mic, before the entire flight received an unplanned live broadcast of side conversations. One participant, affectionately referred to as the Pharaoh from Clarendon Division, defended his sleep by stating, "Sir, if I may chime in, this was not sleeping. It was strategic rest intended to improve cognitive performance." His performance improved significantly once his eyes remained open. There was also one participant who may have needed financial assistance from a reputable institution to settle the many online fines she accumulated during this course. Even after receiving the 20% concession granted to inspectors, her debt remained substantial. If this had been a real flight, we are convinced that Inspector Andy Lawrence from the British Virgin Islands would have kept both flight attendants and pilots fully occupied with questions such as, if I may ask, what altitude are we flying? How experienced is the pilot? And do we have sufficient fuel to safely reach NPCJ?
Flight 91 landed on Monday, April 27th at the National Police College of Jamaica. We were instructed to remain seated and keep our seatbelt fastened until all gates had been properly closed-jacked. This was the moment when many of our assumptions about each other were finally unfastened. After months of communicating through screens, statics, and open mics, we had finally arrived at the face-to-face phase. The aircraft door opened, and for the first time, we truly saw one another. No filter, no cameras, no lag, and yes, some of us look very different in person.
Interestingly, some of the most outspoken voices online became the quietest individuals in class. Yet one thing remained unchanged: the banter, the commitment, and the willingness to stay on course. We arrived as the same passengers, but in higher resolution.
The operation order was written aboard Flight 91, now ready for execution face-to-face. Once we moved beyond the surprise of who appeared different online and in person, then came the written examinations. No open tabs, no search engines, just us, the question paper, and the sudden realization that even spelling ISO 9001 became difficult under pressure. There were no critical incident scenarios were presented to us. There were no screens behind which to hide. Decisions had to be made and justified in real time. The 15 minutes presentation placed everyone firmly on their feet, with each participant speaking as though briefing passengers before takeoff. Even ASP Nemours, who spoke at lightning speed at the beginning of the course, could now be heard and understood clearly. And yes, even that strategic Napa successfully completed her presentation without falling asleep. Syndicates 1, 2, and 3 spread across the campus to execute proposed projects, beautifying the water fountains, installing paper towel holders in the bathrooms, and renovating the gyms, respectively. Ground operation examinations were completed, and decisions were tested, and presentations were successfully survived.
Flight 91, the 91st Staff and Junior Command course, proved that leadership is not about flying solo. It is about guiding the entire crew safely through turbulence and ensuring that everyone lands together. This course did not merely upgrade our professional tools, it transformed how we view leadership and itself, from command to collaboration, and from reaction to system thinking, and from authority to accountability. As we refuel and recalibrate, we recognize that although this training mission may be complete, we have learned to fly with better instruments, prepare better flight plans, and demonstrate that this crew can withstand turbulence. This course may end here, but the journey ahead is only the beginning. The true test starts when we leave this campus and return to our respective stations and islands to lead with purpose, professionalism, and heart. To our fellow colleagues, keep your eyes open and your microphone muted until necessary. Transformation begins when the pilot changes altitude and inspires everyone to rise as well. As we depart this training flight, may the leadership we practice becomes the policing that society experiences daily. Let us leave here committed not only to enforcing the law, but also to serve with integrity, empathy, courage, and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for Senior Border Officer Jennings and Detective Inspector Lewis Green for providing that reflection on the course that has been utilizing the analogy of aviation. And if I continue that analogy of aviation, that the aviation industry cannot take place or cannot be successful, we'll all end up losing spirit if you do not have proper support and funding and proper vision at the macro level. And so we are pleased to have our keynote speaker here today to share some thoughts. At this time, to introduce the keynote speaker, I'm going to invite a gentleman from the Turks and Caicos Islands, a country where the keynote speaker was only very recently present, and a space where Jamaica continues to work and influence and work together. And so it is quite fitting for him to introduce our keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Inspector Dominic Missick.
Good morning, everyone. Please allow me to adopt the protocol that has been established. This morning, I have the honor to introduce our keynote speaker. We are pleased to welcome Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, who is building partnerships to promote inclusive economic growth, improve citizen security, to advance a vision of peace, productivity, and prosperity of all Jamaicans. Leading an agile and responsive government, the Prime Minister is committed to making Jamaica a place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister needs no further introduction. Please help me welcome Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. Deliberately, I will go through the protocols. Let me acknowledge Senior Superintendent Mr. Dennis Brooks, our Master of Ceremonies, and indeed the Master of Ceremonies for the JCF. And he does that very well. Allow me to acknowledge Mrs. Kedisha Campbell, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Energy, Telecommunications and Mining. Mr. Richard Stewart, Deputy Commissioner of Police, representing the Commissioner of Police. Her Honor, Mrs. Keisha Grant Price, Judge of the Parish Court in St. James. Mr. Rodney Adams, Deputy Commissioner of Police, representing the Commissioner of Police, Royal Turks and Caicos Island Police Force. Ms. Latoya Mitchell, Director of Inland Border Force, representing the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Immigration and Border Services, Turks and Caicos Islands. Directors and heads of faculties at the National Police College of Jamaica, other officers and other members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, graduates and staff of the Police Training College, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm honored to join you this afternoon. The course you have completed was designed to build competencies that modern policing requires: leadership, professionalism, communication, resource management, administration, investigation, intelligence, and operations. These are the operating tools of command that you will need to master to be effective managers in one of the most difficult public institutions in our country. When I accepted the invitation to speak at this event, I did not know that there would be an incident in St. James that would shine a particular light on the JCF. And since then, I have received letters, emails, messages from average citizens, ordinary Jamaicans, asking me to comment on the matter. It is indeed a matter of great public concern. I have been deliberately silent on the matter up until this point, because as Prime Minister, I cannot and should not make statements that are not properly thought out. And in the immediacy of an event, sometimes we can make statements that more complicates than advance understanding. And so this turned out to be an opportune occasion on which I could make a few comments on the matter. Clearly, I cannot address the facts and details of the matter, and I don't think the public expects me to do that. But I think the public needs some reassurance of who we are, what we believe, and what it is that we want to achieve. At the core of this is humanity and dignity. That's what it comes down to: humanity, dignity, and respect. Less than a week ago, Latoya Bulgin from St. James lost her life in a police-involved shooting. I extend my sincere condolences to her family, her friends, her community, and all who are grieving. I know that the incident has caused pain, anger, and deep concern across Jamaica, and not just in Jamaica. I believe that we should all recognize that we live in a global village, and anything that is happening in Jamaica, yes, it has parallels elsewhere. We see the situation in Minnesota a few months ago, but what is happening here is exported in milliseconds in other jurisdictions. And so I've been receiving calls from Jamaicans overseas concerned, and from friends who are not Jamaican, but who would have seen the incident circulated, and they are also concerned. So, first, I'm happy that the matter has been swiftly addressed by the Police High Command, that the officer involved has been interdicted, and there is a process of investigation that is ongoing. One of the things that Jamaica can be proud of is the establishment of a mechanism to independently investigate officers of the state when, in the course of their duty, a life is taken. That was a fundamental and profound change in how Jamaica policed itself. And as officers coming up in the police force, I am hopeful that it is the general understanding that the entire objective of the state is to preserve life. I want that to be the default position. We do not pay taxes to fund the police force for the police force to be the instrument that takes life, or for any arm of the state for that matter. The objective is for the police force to preserve and protect life. When you go out on your duties and your operations, the default position must be, we are going to protect and serve and preserve. There are some who go out with the default position that they intend to take life. But you as leaders, you must quickly identify those and correct that false notion that they have. Indeed, that is your core duty as leaders. And therefore, having Indicom established, sent a clear signal that the state of Jamaica and the agents of the state of Jamaica will be held to account for the unlawful taking of life. And any police-involved shooting or killing will be independently investigated to give assurance to the public that the state is not a purveyor of violence, and indeed not a purveyor of the ultimate violence, which is that of taking a life. So as I stand here today, and you are in my hearing, and the discussion is about transformation, that is what it comes down to. What kind of organization is the JCF? And what is the core principle of the members of the JCF? And what is the abiding principle of its leadership? So today, I challenge you as you rise through the ranks to ensure that that core principle is always maintained, always advanced, always preserved, always respected. The JCF is about preserving, protecting, and serving life. However, there is a broader context within which this core principle of preserving and protecting life must be understood. In the 1960s, Jamaica was a different society. Firearms were not yet dominant as instruments of violence. The police operated in a context where their authority was more likely to be accepted, where the baton, or the baton if you prefer, symbolized a different model of law enforcement. Now, I can't tell when last I see a policeman with a bat. ACP Watson, is that still a part of the regular kit of the police? Is it called, what is it called now, the nightstick? We still call it the baton. But is it carried often these days? I guess that was the ultimate form of non-lethal weaponry at that time. Or less lethal weaponry. So, we are coming from that time when all you needed was the baton as a police force. And where violence was not organized. And where there was no transnational characteristic of crime. Those days are no longer. And of course, we can trace the transition of the society between the 70s and the 80s, with the rise of political violence, and then the transnational drug trade, and then along with that came the proliferation of illicit firearms. So the police had to confront a new reality of automatic weapons, armed gangs, and transnational criminal networks. In more recent years came the transition to the lottery scamming economy, for which guns became tools for protecting illegal earnings, displaying status and projecting power. As the criminal underworld became more organized and more deadly, the JCF had to evolve to contend with what was becoming an existential threat to the state. This is the Jamaica that the modern JCF has had to confront. Communities where criminal networks are armed, places where witnesses fear retaliation, spaces where the physical layout of lanes, zinc fences, informal pathways, and unplanned settlements can allow danger to emerge from any direction and any situation in which the police officer may have only seconds to interpret whether or not a movement is innocent, confused, resistant, or deadly. We must be honest about what this does to the mind and body of the police officer. A police officer operating repeatedly in high-risk environment can become hypervigilant. That officer learns to scan every moment, every hand, every corner, every window, every vehicle, every shadow, and to perceive it as a threat. Hypervigilance can keep an officer alive, but it needs to be properly managed by training, supervision, discipline, and a command culture. Understanding this reality is not the same as excusing error in discipline or unlawful conduct. It is precisely because the environment is difficult that training, judgment, supervision, and accountability must be stronger. You who are graduating and in line for your promotions, this is what will be required of you. This is why your role as middle managers and junior commanders is critical. You are the layer of leadership closest to the front line. You translate policy into practice. You set the tone at the station, on patrol, at the checkpoint, in the briefing room, in operations, and in the aftermath of an incident. You are responsible not only for whether your teams are brave, but whether they are controlled. Not only for whether they are assertive, but whether they are lawful. Not only for whether they can confront criminals, but whether they can distinguish clearly between a genuine threat and a civilian who may be confused, frightened, or simply going about their business. Jamaica has asked much of its police. We have asked you to confront gangs, remove illicit weapons from our streets, disrupt transnational criminal networks, protect communities, restore public order, manage traffic, respond to domestic disputes, secure public events, investigate complex crimes, and increasingly serve as the visible face of the state in communities that have been traumatized. We have also invested in you. Over the last decade, the government has made sustained investment in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, in recruitment, mobility, intelligence, technology, training, infrastructure, equipment, and operational capacity. The JCF is now more capable than it has ever been in its over 150 years existence. My administration has more than tripled the national budget on national security expenditure, particularly in capital works and in training. Importantly, for the first time in the history of the JCF, the force has reached its full establishment of 14,000 officers. That means there are more police officers available to serve the Jamaican people today. It means more presence, more response capacity, more visibility, and more opportunity to prevent crime before it occurs. But it also means more interactions between police and citizens. And as interactions increase, the chance of an interaction going wrong also increases, unless standards, supervision, communication, and accountability increase at the same time. For those of you who are part of tactical operations of the JCF, you will immediately understand the term muscle memory. How do you get muscle memory? You train over and over and over and over and over and over and over again till you no longer have to think about an action. The steps to execute the action becomes natural. And that can only be done by training over and over and over and over and over again. And the instructors at the JCF know this. And they go through the training exercises with you over and over and over again, and they correct you. And then you practice on your own. And you keep doing it, and it becomes a part of you. Muscle memory can be bad, and it can be good, depending on the habits you use it to form. There are some habits which the JCF, at this point in your transformation, must pay special attention to. to eliminate from your practice and your doctrine. We have invested heavily in training the JCF. I speak without fear of contradiction that the JCF has the most advanced tactical teams in this region. There is no question about that. I speak with great confidence that gone are the days when any organized criminal entity in the country could take on the JCF and win. That doesn't exist again. There is no organized criminal entity in Jamaica, or indeed anywhere else in this region, that could take on the JCF and win. That must not happen. There must only be one monopoly on the use of force. The state must have that monopoly. And we must train the agents who have that monopoly on the use of force exceedingly well. What used to happen is that organized criminal elements could believe that they could take on the JCF and walk away and get away. Not just in tactical ways, but in corrupt ways as well. Pay off somebody, friend up a supervisor, a station, a IOC, or a IC, what do you call them, OIC, officer in charge. You know, these kinds of unhealthy relationships that formerly existed between the criminal world and law enforcement. That is rapidly changing in the JCF, because those unhealthy and unlawful relationships are constantly being investigated. The intelligence capabilities have increased. But more than that, the officers have far more self-respect now to not fall unintentionally into these kinds of traps. And where it happens, I am pleased to say that the JCF is the first to exclude those persons from membership in your organization, that you have separated them from the organization and will continue to do so. So that shows the capability of the JCF improving. Tactically, when you take on the criminals, you must win. And in terms of your daily operations and your interactions, you maintain your integrity. But as we invest in these capabilities and we see the results, we have made commendable gains in crime reduction. As at the 19th of May, Jamaica recorded 204 murders to date, compared to 268 over the same period last year. 64 fewer murders, representing a 24% reduction. And this is not just a one-year thing. We're now going into the fourth year. This follows 3 years of continual decline, which demonstrates that the strategy is working. Targeted gang operations, better intelligence, stronger coordination, improved capacity, international partnerships, legislative reform, and the courage of police officers who have gone into dangerous communities to confront men who believed they were beyond the reach of the law. So the strategy is working. But at the same time, as we become more effective in dispatching criminals, we must always remember that our actions require the support of the public. And we cannot descend to be viewed as how the criminals are viewed. It is the dignity and the integrity, the compassion that you exercise your duty that distinguishes you and gives value to the uniform that you wear. And so your conduct in being truthful to the principle and value of preserving life is absolutely important. Inasmuch as I heap praises on the JCF in the reduction of murders, it must be understood that this was achieved with the support of communities. You are getting more intelligence. People who formerly cowered in their homes, but distressed about what they are seeing and couldn't do anything about it, they are now empowered because there is greater confidence that the JCF has separated from their ranks those who would disclose the identity of persons sharing information. We need the support of the public. We need the support of the public who will stand up and say, the police are doing a good job. I want them in my community. It only takes one incident to totally erase that. Just one. We struggle as a people because of our history and the history of the JCF being formed as a colonial force to enforce a colonial order. There is always a view that our police force is there to oppress. Always a view. When I was growing up, the term they would use is Babylon. What you are trying to do now is to change that deeply held view. And that is why it is so important that we invest in not only material, equipment and capital works, but we invest in the minds of the officers of the JCF. The change in your uniform was symbolic, but it only is effective if there is also a change in your mindset. DCP, I did not come here for a brief speech. So, buckle up your seatbelt and sip a little water. Now, I know that the JCF is investing heavily in changing its doctrine. And we're seeing the impact of this change. The public feels very proud to hear our officers articulate locally and internationally when they are interviewed. Gives a sense of pride. Career days across the island, we are seeing more youngsters putting on, what's it called, your number 1 uniform, your khaki and red stripe, wanting to be police officers. You know that there is a change happening in the society. Great respectability is accorded to your position in the society. But when there is a traffic stop and the officer says, "Boy, come out of the car," all of that goes. All of that goes. Professionalism is your obligation. You don't have to tell me how difficult it is sometimes to deal with our citizens. But you must remember that they too come from a place of mistrust and fear. And there is a culture, unfortunately, in our country, which we don't speak about because we have a sense of exceptionalism of ourselves. But the truth is, we resist authority. So the police is coming to the citizen with the notion that their authority must automatically be accepted and respected because I wear the uniform. And the citizen is coming to the interaction with the police that historically these persons have been oppressive and unfair and unjust, and I am going to resist and defend my rights. Immediately, there is the setup for a confrontation in the society. Immediately. This cannot continue as we seek to modernize our society. There must be a watershed period where this ends. In the same way that we have been able to end political violence and we are now getting on top of murders, the police force must now lead in dealing with how we manage police-citizen interaction. Let me say this. The public may not readily know the mechanics of how policy is formed in national security. Maybe some of the officers here may not know. But there is such a thing as the National Security Council. The National Security Council is a committee of the cabinet, and it brings together all the ministries, well, the ministers and their permanent secretaries, responsible for ministries that have line responsibility for security. It also has all the heads of security entities. Obviously, the JDF, the JCF, MOCA, Customs. We have recently added ODPEM because managing disasters have now become a part of national security concerns. And we meet once every month. And we discuss the interconnectivity of all of these entities for national security. And high on the agenda, repeated on the agenda, I have raised it several times to the Commissioner of Police, is the uncivil interactions between citizens and the police force. I've seen it so often, it is shared on social media, it makes the country look bad. Damaging to our image. It is now time that the JCF develops and deploys along with other stakeholders, a national public education campaign to, I don't want to use the word teach, but that's what it comes down to educate our citizens about how they should interact with the police, and to educate the police as to how they should interact with the citizens. And this will have to be over a 2 or 3 year period of constant reminders until it becomes muscle memory. Because I've seen, as I'm sure all of you would have seen, videos of policemen trying to interdict a taximan, for example. Forgive me, I'm not picking on any one group. But that is one of the highest levels of complaints that you get in terms of police and civilian interaction. Or a vendor in a marketplace. Or a traffic stop. And what should be a simple matter escalates into a confrontation. I have had so many letters written to me, and I've spoken on this before. One in particular of a young lady who had an interaction with the police where she didn't see that the police was stopping her. The police pursued her. She panicked. She eventually stopped. And this is a young lady driving at night. She's alone. And the officers came out. And you can just imagine the colorful fabrics that were described to her. I have had letters written to me about 2 young men driving home. One night they were stopped by a patrol. They wound down their windows to see M16 rifles in their forehead. They're not criminals, they're not being threatened that they could be shot right now and nothing would come out of it. And these are things that our citizens experience on a daily basis. I'm sure all of you here who are about to be promoted, these are not things that you tolerate. But you will be leading the men and women who sometimes do these things. You must identify them in your stations. Send them on additional training. Interdict them or seek their separation. Because where we are now with the development of the country, that kind of behavior cannot continue. So, Singapore has about 6 million people, about twice the size of Jamaica. It's about the size of St. James. They have between 3 and 7 murders per year. The highest I've seen is about 10 per year. So their murder rate is less than 1%, or less than 1 per 100,000. Our murder rate has moved from 49, almost 50 per 100,000, to 24 per 100,000. We have cut our murder rate in half. Give us a decade. If we continue with this administration executing the strategy, we will probably get to less than 100 per year. But what happens then? The JCF would now have to develop even greater capabilities in public order, dispute resolution, crime prevention and security education, stakeholder management. In other words, the focus on your tactical operations and your kinetic operations will have to find greater complement with your community policing operations. And that is why at the National Security Council we discuss these things from a strategic point of view, and we are going to change how security is executed in Jamaica. So right now we have to emphasize the tactical, but we don't want the tactical to destroy public trust. And that we are at that point. But as the tactical brings down the organized violence, we have the issue of social violence to address. And that is why we have changed the Ministry of National Security to now be National Security and Peace. And so you're going to see the JCF not pivoting, because you must continue to maintain your tactical superiority. When gunmen see you, they must get nervous and run. But when decent law-abiding citizens see you, they must say, these guys, these are the good guys, they are here to protect me. So that means you have to develop greater intelligence, greater discernment, greater respect and professionalism. So, at the National Security Council, this is our consideration. And we have given directives to the Commissioner of Police about rolling out this national public education campaign. It's amazing sometimes you see the policeman trying to arrest someone and the person is resisting. You know what the psychology is? First of all, they believe that in resisting, they can escape. That somehow the charge that is going to be preferred on them will go away if they resist. And the public needs to be educated that you are not going to be able to escape law enforcement. There's a classic case recently of a biker believing that he had escaped the police. And the police made a point to go and get him peacefully the day after. The society in which we live, you can't hide. You can't hide. And if you are interdicted or give the lawful order by the police, the best advice is to comply and then make your complaint afterwards. But it makes no sense to resist the police. And the police needs to bear this in mind, because sometimes we see the police operating as if the citizen has disrespected them personally, meaning that they have lost their professional standing totally to go now and trace with the citizens, as we say in Jamaica. Whereas a police officer, you must never lose your professional standing. Never. And this is why we need to go through this process of public education. This really should have been reinforced in civics in schools. But until we get to that point, we need a national campaign. It is an offense to resist arrest. Yes, you don't believe that you can escape the police. And just to be clear, it is the directive that if you escape the police, they are going to dedicate the resources to find you. So it's better that if the police come, comply. Now, I said earlier that you're not going to be able to escape in Jamaica, and we'll be able to find you wherever you are. And that is because technology has improved and increased and is being deployed rapidly. One such technology is the body-worn camera. And recently I've seen the calls about body-worn cameras. I thought I had addressed it before, but it keeps coming up again and again and again. To be clear, it is the policy of the government to fully deploy camera systems for the police force. Notice I've used the term camera systems. The systems involve closed-circuit television coverage connected to command and control centers right across the island. We are investing in a C5 type center right now as we speak. We are building out Jamaica Eye, so that's a part of cameras. We have some capabilities, but very limited, with putting cameras in patrol cars. That is being spec'd and worked on as we speak. We will see that being rolled out. So the patrol cars will have cameras. And then there are the body-worn cameras of a particular form factor which is placed on the chest of an officer. We have some of that already in deployment, and we have about 1,000 in deployment, and we have another 1,000 in procurement, and we are working on another 1,000 to come. We simply don't have the resources to do it all at once. And even if we got all the cameras all at once, they couldn't be deployed all at once because the training to use them, and then all the backup services, and then the broadband and connectivity that is required for upload and safekeeping in order that the images that are captured are evidentiary. So there is an entire suite of activities that have to be in place before body-worn cameras become universally systemized within the JCF. But I wish to assure the public that it is the intention that this is done, and it has started, and we're giving ourselves 2 to 3 years to have that fully rolled out. So it will become, as it is now, that every policeman has a weapon assigned to them, or every policeman who is deployed to interact with the public will have a camera assigned to them. And so that is being built out. But just to be clear, there has been some discussions which seem to want to suggest that the government doesn't intend that everyone who interacts with the public should have a body camera. That's not the case. The form factor, meaning the design of the camera, can work well in certain situations and certain circumstances. So, patrolling a market, doing your traffic stops, in activities where the image is stabilized, where the hand movement is not going to block the visibility of the camera, at night. There are circumstances where the body-worn camera, the camera placed on your chest, that form factor, that design works well. But there are other circumstances in which it may not work well, like in some tactical operations. If you're crawling on the ground, for example, the camera would be pointing down. If it's dark at night, if there is smoke, it may not work well. That doesn't mean that the tactical operations would not have coverage by camera. The police force would have to find out the form factor of cameras that suit the particular operation. So, for example, they may have helmet-mounted cameras or helmets that have cameras built in. That might be an option. So just to put everybody at ease, there is no intent to say some units will have cameras and some won't. The intent is to make sure that there is this tool of accountability for our officers. And in as far as possible, that tool will be deployed as long as it does not compromise the safety of the officer or the success of a mission. That's the general parameters within which we will deploy cameras. So I want to put Jamaica at ease that we are in the process of deploying cameras. We will deploy them universally as much as possible within the force, but we are building out the systems to ensure that these cameras work and that what they capture has evidentiary value. So the JCF has now taken on another role, and that is to support our Caribbean neighbors in law enforcement. I recently had the opportunity to visit the Turks and Caicos. Thank you very much for the hospitality that was shown. And the officers are held in high regard. They are doing an excellent job. They are supporting our brothers and sisters who are facing similar challenges with transnational organized crime. So we have developed a reputation as being able to overcome this challenge. And we have now reduced that in documentation, in systems, and in practices that we can share with other jurisdictions who are having a similar problem. But I want to say this. The whole purpose of making this massive investment in national security is about securing our economy. There can be no real level of economic growth without having a base of sustainable security. So the officers who are here, who are going to be promoted to higher ranks and take on greater responsibility, you should bear in mind that you are working for your pay. Because the greater the security you give us, is the more we will be able to grow the economy. I use the example of BVI and Turks and Caicos and other Caribbean countries. They have massive investments being directed in their economy, particularly in tourism and health and lifestyle. The biggest challenge for them was security. If you take the Turks and Caicos, for example, their murder rate was higher than ours. Can you imagine? Last year, or the year before. Last year, it was cutting Europe now like a 10, or probably less, per 100,000 because of the intervention. The island is booming. The tourism stakeholders are happy. They can now move on with the plans that they have. Similarly for Jamaica. But it's going to take a much longer time for the new security blanket that we have created to generate the economic returns. Because for almost 50 years, we have developed this reputation as a high crime country. It's not going to change in 4 years. But we cannot at this stage give up. We cannot at this stage not continue to persevere. So, as I close my presentation to you, I want you to appreciate that your job is not only the reduction of crime. Your job is about helping the government to improve our economic prospects. It is in improving the economic prospects that we will be able to give better pay. And I have to say it in this way because sometimes the discussions seem to take place as if there is some secret fund somewhere that the government can just pull from and pay. And the only way that the government can pay more without it being inflationary is if we produce more. So your job is to create that security blanket so that more investments can take place. So I want to close my presentation by congratulating you on being a part of this course and successfully completing it, to commend the JCF for the work it has done in reducing murders and violence in the country, to remind you that your job is to preserve and protect life, that you must be respectful of the citizen. And as I hear it, I say this point about being respectful of the citizen. I was saying to ACP Merrick and to DCP as well, that the JCF needs to examine and maybe reform its protocols for how it assists persons who are injured at a crime scene, or how it removes deceased persons from a crime scene. It is not a good look for us. It is not something I'm satisfied with, nor should any member of the JCF be satisfied with it. It is a complex subject because we don't have emergency services that are available right away. But these are matters that need to be studied carefully, so I'm saying this now to the High Command. We will be discussing it at National Security Council, that provisions have to be put in place, the necessary protocols have to be established about how you remove deceased from crime scene or assist injured persons. These are matters that have to be looked into. And I say it in this way. We are trying to build an economy and a society. But more importantly, we are building a civilization. I want you to remember that. We're trying to build an economy, we're trying to build a society. But more importantly, we are trying to build a civilization. How we treat our injured, our most vulnerable, the weakest amongst us, how we treat the remains of the deceased, tells us a lot about the kind of civilization we have. And so if the JCF is transforming, then that must be part of the transformation. So these matters, you will see them, I'm speaking about them here, but they will go through the process, they will become policy directives, and you will see the changes. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I came here to unload on you. And you have been an excellent audience. I see the nodding heads, I see the eyes processing what has been said, and I know that my presentation has had an impact on you. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, for that wide-ranging and cross-cutting presentation. Put your hands together one more time for him, please. For those of you who are graduates of this course, you have much to consider. For those of you who are members of the media, you have a lot to write about. You have stories for days. At this time, I'm going to invite the Prime Minister, if you may, to come forward and receive a presentation. I'm going to invite Inspector Keisha Griffiths to come forward to make said presentation.
Sir, it is my honor to present this token to you on behalf of the 91st Staff and Junior Command Course today. We know that your schedule is very demanding. We appreciate your presence. Thank you for your investment in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as also the region. Sir, may God continue to bless you. May He continue to bless your leadership, and may He continue to bless Jamaica, the land we love. Kindly accept this token, sir.
Thank you very much. And now, for one of the moments that we've all been waiting for, we will have the presentation of certificates to the graduands. They will become officially graduates of the 91st cohort of the Staff and Junior Command course. At this time, to take charge of the presentation of certificates and to invite those persons who will come forward and assist, I'm going to invite Inspector Terry Ann Warren to come forward at this time. Make her welcome, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we proudly recognize the hard work, dedication, and achievements of our graduates as we present these certificates. At this time, I'll invite Her Honor, Mrs. Keisha Grant Price, to assist in making these presentations. Miss S. From the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, Mr. Pauline Nemours, Assistant Superintendent of Police. Miss Kayla Keane, Assistant Superintendent of Police. From the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, Mr. Andy Lawrence, Chief Inspector. Detective Inspector Joseph Gray. Detective Inspector Violet Berry. Detective Inspector Jermaine Folks. Inspector Marguerite Gardiner. Thank you, Mrs. Grant Price, for your assistance. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Rodney Adams, Deputy Commissioner of Police of the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force. Inspector Keisha Griffiths. Inspector Fitzroy Rochester. Inspector Georgette Cole. Detective Inspector Doneth Brown. Detective Inspector Marlon Graham. Detective Inspector Lancel Stevens. From the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, Detective Inspector Ensa Wilson. Detective Inspector Yulette Lewis. Inspector Nicola Thomas. Detective Inspector Orlando Walters. Inspector Yuana Roberts. Inspector Angelita Hamilton. Inspector Mario Taylor. Inspector Chester Manning. Thank you, DCP Adams, for your assistance. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Richard Stewart, Deputy Commissioner of Police, to assist with these presentations. An honorary detective, yes. From the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Border Force, Senior Officer Donovan Francis, Jr. Inspector Sidney Scarlett. Inspector Fabian Gentles. Inspector Dorothy Henry. Inspector Laverne McLean. Inspector Margaret Sims Williams. Inspector Raphael Jones. From the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, Inspector Dominic Missick. From the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Border Force, Senior Officer Clayton Jennings. Inspector Troy Lewis. Inspector Trevor Moore. From the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, Detective Inspector Jo Delis Avril Diengele Matsua. Detective Inspector Omar Fairclough. From the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, Inspector Sean Bilingi. Thank you, DCP Stewart, for your kind assistance. Throughout this journey towards academic excellence in policing, several participants distinguished themselves through exceptional performance. Today, it is only fitting that we recognize and reward these performances. We identified 3 categories for recognition: the highest marks attained, best oral presentation, and best all-round performance. At this time, I would like to invite our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, to assist with these presentations. Yes, sir. Ms. Essen. For the category highest marks attained, the award goes to Inspector Keisha Griffiths. For the category Best Oral Presentation, the award goes to Detective Inspector Eulette Lewis. And for the category Best All-Round Performance, the award goes to none other than Detective Inspector Joseph Gray. Thank you, Dr. Holness. This is the graduating class, the 91st cohort of the Staff and Junior Command course. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
And congratulations to all of them. At this time, we are going to have a moment of gratitude delivered by Detective Inspector Donovan Francis Jr. The vote of thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, representing our Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Richard Stewart, Director of the National Police College of Jamaica, Mr. Merrick Watson, our Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Rodney Adams, our Turks and Caicos Islands Director of Inland of the Border Force, Turks and Caicos, Ms. Latoya Mitchell, all other senior officers and distinguished guests, facilitators, course coordinators, invited guests, fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is both my distinct privilege and an immense honor to stand before you on behalf of the graduates of the 91st Staff and Junior Command Course Cohort to deliver this vote of thanks. Before all else, we will pause to give thanks and praise to the Almighty God, whose grace, favor, and sustaining hand guided us through this journey. Through every challenge, every assessment, every demanding moment, and every triumph, He remained our source of wisdom, endurance, and strength. Today's achievement is therefore not ours alone, but a testament of His faithfulness. Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, we are deeply honored by your presence here today. On behalf of the graduating cohort, I extend our sincere gratitude to you for taking the time out to address us on this significant occasion. Sir, your leadership, your steadfast commitment to national development, and continued investment in strengthening of Jamaica's security architecture serves as a profound source of inspiration and to those of us who are entrusted with the responsibility of public safety. Your address today was both timely and deeply impactful. The wisdom, encouragement, and national perspective you shared have challenged us to lead with greater purpose, accountability, and integrity as we continue to service the people of Jamaica and throughout the BVI and the TCI. For your presence, your words, and your example of leadership, we are truly grateful. Today, our Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Richard Stewart, we express our profound appreciation for your visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to the professional development of the men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Your confidence in the capacity of our officers inspires us to pursue excellence and to embrace leadership with humility, courage, and discipline. To the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Merrick Watson, Director of the National Police College of Jamaica, we thank you. We thank you sincerely for your exceptional leadership and oversight in ensuring the successful execution of this program. Your dedication to the development of future leaders within the force continues to leave a lasting, meaningful impact. To Mrs. Keisha Grant-Price, we extend our heartfelt appreciation for your invaluable contribution of this course. Your insights, guidance, and engagement enrich our learning experience and challenge us to think critically about our leadership, service, and personal growth. To Superintendent Dr. Jacqueline Edwards, Director of the Faculty of Leadership and Professional Development, our course coordinator, Deputy Superintendent Jean McDonald-Ballin, our syndicate directors, Deputy Superintendent Karen Cumberland Jackson, Detective Inspector Janet Essen, Detective Inspector Terry Ann Warren, we thank you for your tireless commitment, your steadfast mentorship, and unwavering support throughout the 12 weeks. Your investment in our growth extends beyond instruction. You nurtured our leadership, professionalism, and resilience within each one of us. To our facilitators, assessors, and administrative staff, we offer our sincere gratitude for your patience, your expertise, and dedication. Every lecture delivered, every assignment reviewed, and every word of encouragement shared contributed significantly to our development and success. To Sergeant Moses and the dedicated information technology support team, we thank you for ensuring our seamless delivery of our online sessions during the virtual component of this course. Your professionalism and technical support ensured that distance never became a barrier to learning. To all divisional commanders and operational officers across the Jamaica Constabulary Force, we express our appreciation for facilitating our station practicum and the duty experiences. These practical engagements sharpened our operational competence, strengthened our decision-making abilities, and broadened our understanding of effective leadership in policing. We also extend gratitude to the divisional commander who released us from our substantive posts during the duration of this program. Your sacrifice allowed us to fully immerse ourselves in a transformative experience, and we pledge to return to our respective divisions better equipped to serve. To the kitchen staff, we offer our warm appreciation for exceptional care and hospitality extended to us within our residential sessions. Though your efforts in nourishment became more than a necessity, it became an expression of Jamaica's warmth and fellowship, particularly for our overseas participants. To the drivers and support personnel who transported us safely throughout the duration of this program, including our overseas colleagues to and from the airport, we thank you for your professionalism, your reliability, commitment to our safety and comfort. To the National Police College of Jamaica, we express our deepest gratitude for providing an environment that fosters excellence, discipline, innovation, and leadership. This institution has not simply educated us, it has transformed us. Finally, to our families, friends, and colleagues, and who all supported us throughout the demanding journey, thank you. Your encouragement, understanding, and unwavering belief in us carried us through moments of challenge and strengthened our ability to resolve and succeed. As graduates of the 91st Staff and Junior Command course, we leave this institution not only more knowledgeable, but more determined to lead with integrity, serve with courage, uphold the highest standards of professionalism within the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force, and the TCI Border Force. May we always remember that gratitude is the most powerfully demonstrated through service and through the positive impact that we make in lives of others. I leave with the timeless words of Proverbs chapter 16, verses 3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Thank you. God bless you all, and God continue to bless Jamaica, the land we love.
Thank you very much, Detective Inspector. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the day is far spent. The graduates have gone through an intense process of transformation from the mind, and they will continue based on the skills and the knowledge that they have acquired, begin to apply. And so they will return to their divisions and formations with a few more letters behind their names, but with a great wealth of knowledge and experience, and more importantly, important connections going forward that they will take throughout their law enforcement career. All I will say is that, graduates, you wanted to be on this course, and if you weren't on this course, you would have been disappointed. And so the fact that you have been chosen and you have made it through, you have been chosen for such a time as this. And so make the most of the moment that you have. The real work begins now. At this time, I'm going to invite the ACP in charge of the training branch to do as he always does, to bring this course to a close.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, as the Assistant Commissioner of Police with responsibility for training branch, I hereby declare the 91st staging of the Staff and Junior Command course closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of Jamaica. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Graduates, please, I know you'd love to do your meet and greet, but you have some official photographs to take. So at this time, I'm going to invite our official photographers to get into position and prepare for that process.